Green bananas have 3 times more gut-feeding fiber than the same banana left to ripen. Same fruit, different stage, and your gut bacteria are receiving something completely different. That is not a ripeness preference. That is plant biochemistry. And it is one of 15 foods most people eat every week in the version that does almost nothing for their microbiome. Your gut bacteria do not run on sugar. They run on fermentable fiber-specific compounds in real food that most people are cooking out or buying at the wrong stage. Not supplements, not powders. The right version is already in most kitchens. Most people have never thought about what stage it needs to be in. Number 5 on this list, most people throw away the most valuable part. Number 10, most people always buy wrong. And number 13, the green banana. Most people ruin it weekly without knowing. Today, 15 prebiotic foods, how each one works, and exactly how to prepare each one so you keep what makes it matter. Number 15, rice. Temperature decides who eats. You probably ate rice this week. Whether it did anything for your gut bacteria depended entirely on one decision you made after you cooked it. Hot rice contains roughly 1 to 2 grams of resistant starch per 100 grams. Your digestive enzymes break it down before it reaches your colon. Your gut bacteria receive almost nothing from a hot serving. Refrigerate that same rice for 24 hours and the starch molecules restructure. They form tight crystalline bonds that digestive enzymes cannot break. Resistant starch content rises significantly. The bacteria that need it can now reach it. The reheating limit is 60 degrees Celsius. Below that, the structure survives. A full boil resets it, undoing 24 hours of refrigeration in minutes. Cook extra, refrigerate overnight, reheat below 60 degrees Celsius, or eat it cold. The benefit is already there. You are choosing who receives it first. Rice stores its prebiotic value in temperature. The next grain stores it in a layer most people discard, and it outperforms the most well-known gut health grain on the market. Number 14, barley. More than oats, wrong version. Every gut health conversation eventually mentions oats. Almost none of them mention barley. That is a problem, because barley delivers more of the compound that matters by a measurable margin. Hulled barley contains 4 to 7% beta-glucan by dry weight. Oats land between 2 and 4%. Both work through the same gut bacteria, Akkermansia and Bifidobacterium, but at different doses. Intervention trials show consistent reductions in intestinal inflammation markers at 3 to 6 grams of beta-glucan daily. Most people buying barley are buying pearl barley. Pearling removes the outer bran layer where beta-glucan concentrates. Pearl barley cooks faster. It is also nutritionally distinct from hulled barley in ways that matter specifically to your gut. Cooled barley generates resistant starch on top of its native beta-glucan. 2 separate prebiotic contributions from one grain. Buy hulled or pot barley. Use it in soups or cool it and dress it with lemon and olive oil. Barley's fiber reaches your gut bacteria because of what it is made of. The next food's fiber only gets there if you handle it correctly in the first 10 minutes. Number 13, garlic. 4 minutes, then gone. Most people cook garlic for 10, 15 minutes. By minute 5, a significant portion of its most valuable prebiotic content has already broken down. You are cooking away the thing you are trying to eat. That ingredient is fructooligosaccharides, FOS. It sits in garlic's flesh, not in allicin. FOS travels intact to your large intestine, where Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus feed on it selectively. Studies show measurable Bifidobacterium enrichment within 2 weeks of consistent intake. The limit is 4 minutes of heat. A quick sauté at that threshold preserves most of the FOS content. 10 minutes destroys it. Most home cooking runs well past that point. Crush the cloves before any heat touches them. Wait 10 minutes. That rest period activates allicin while the garlic is still intact. Then cook briefly. Or use it raw. 1 to 2 raw cloves daily provides a meaningful FOS dose. Garlic is among the cheapest prebiotic sources in any grocery store. If you take blood-thinning medication, its antiplatelet activity is real. Consult your prescriber before increasing raw garlic intake significantly. Garlic's value is in its flesh, and most people overcook it. The next food's value is in its skin, which most people throw away before cooking even starts. Number 12. Onions. Best part always discarded. There's a part of every onion that most home cooks trim away automatically, without thinking. That part contains the highest quercetin concentration in the entire vegetable. Onions carry two distinct prebiotic roots, FOS and Inulin, the same fiber class as garlic, and quercetin, a polyphenol that acts as a selective antimicrobial, suppressing pathogenic species while leaving beneficial bacteria largely untouched. Human trials link raw onion and raw onion skin extract to dose-dependent growth of the beneficial gut bacteria that matter most. That outer layer, the papery, brownish-purple skin just beneath the dry husk, is edible. Simmer it in broths. Do not throw it away. Yellow onions carry more quercetin than white. Red onions carry more anthocyanins, a second polyphenol with its own additional effect on which species survive. Half a raw onion daily provides a relevant FOS dose. The quercetin comes with it. The onion's best layer is the one you discard. Chicory root is the food most people have never purchased at all, but it's hiding inside products they buy every single week. Number 11. Chicory root, hidden inside every supplement. If you've ever bought a prebiotic supplement, there's a strong chance you were buying a processed extract of one specific plant root. Most people who take it in capsule form have never eaten the actual food. Chicory root is the primary source of commercial inulin and FOS. Published analyses show inulin content between 15 and 48%. By dry weight, the highest in any widely available food. Roasted chicory root has served as a coffee substitute across European folk medicine for centuries. In New Orleans, Café du Monde has blended it into coffee since the 1860s. Some Americans are already drinking it without knowing what it is. Roasting does convert some inulin into shorter FOS chains. Those chains ferment faster. The outcome is not inferior. The timeline is different. The problem is dosing too fast. Inulin causes significant digestive discomfort when the gut bacteria aren't adapted. Start with half a teaspoon in warm water. Build over 2 weeks. Available at Whole Foods, Sprouts, and online. Chicory root holds its prebiotic content even after roasting. The next food offers almost nothing unless you change one step in how you prepare it, a step most people skip entirely. Number 10. Flaxseed. Whole seeds do nothing. A lot of people add whole flax seeds to their oatmeal or smoothies and feel good about it. Whole flax seeds pass through your digestive system almost completely intact. Your gut bacteria receive very little. Flaxseed contains mucilaginous fiber, a thick, gel-forming soluble fiber, unlike inulin or resistant starch. Ground flax mixed with water produces a slow-moving viscous gel in your gut, prolonging fermentation and shifting the bacterial environment. Clinical evidence links it to a broader range of butyrate-producing bacteria than inulin alone supports. Flaxseed also contains lignans, a class of polyphenols with a distinct modulatory effect on which bacterial species thrive independent of anything the fiber does. Whole seeds offer none of this. The surface area that makes fermentation possible only exists once the seed has been split open. That is the entire difference between a useful food and a useless one. Use a coffee grinder, medium coarse setting. 1 to 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flax daily on oatmeal or in a smoothie. Store it in an airtight container in the freezer. Ground flax oils oxidize quickly. At room temperature, quality degrades within days. Flaxseed needs to be ground before it can work. Lentils need something different. They need time after cooking. And what happens during that time creates 2 completely separate prebiotic effects at once. Number 9. Lentils. 3 effects, 1 bowl. Almost every food on this list works through one prebiotic mechanism. Lentils work through two simultaneously, through completely independent pathways. That's unusual enough to warrant attention. The first is resistant starch type 1 starch, physically enclosed within lentil cell walls, beyond what digestive enzymes can easily reach. It is present whether the lentils are hot or cold. The second activates only after cooking. Cool lentils to room temperature, then refrigerate for at least 12 hours. During that window, starch molecules retrograde into a crystalline form resistant starch type 3. Lentils also contain galacto-oligosaccharides, GOS, a fiber class, that feeds different bacterial populations than resistant starch does. Hot lentils activate type 1 and GOS. Cooled lentils add type 3. All three work at once. Research on populations eating legumes 3 to 4 times per week shows higher gut microbiome diversity scores compared to legume-free dietary patterns. Among the most reliable findings in dietary microbiome research: cook a large batch, cool to room temperature, refrigerate overnight. Eat as cold lentil salads or room temperature bowls. Reheat gently if needed. A hard reboil collapses the type 3 resistant starch back to baseline. Lentils are already on most healthy eating lists. The next food almost never is, and what it does in your gut works in a way that nothing else on this list matches. Coming up, and this one surprises almost everyone, a food you've probably cooked this week, with a gut-feeding pathway that works completely differently from everything we've covered so far. Number 8. Mushrooms. 2 fibers, 0 alternatives. Mushrooms don't appear on most prebiotic food lists. That's because most prebiotic research focuses on inulin and resistant starch. Mushrooms operate through neither of those pathways, and that's exactly why they matter. Mushrooms contain beta-1316 glucan, structurally distinct from the beta-1314 glucan in oats. The molecular shape is different. That difference means it nourishes bacterial populations that oat beta-glucan does not. They also contain chitin, a structural polysaccharide in mushroom cell walls, absent from all plants. No vegetable, fruit, or grain carries it. For most people eating a typical diet, chitin has no other source. Research published in the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms documents increased abundance of key beneficial species and gains in overall microbial richness. Gut microbiome research also shows that reaching 30 or more different plant and fungi sources per week correlates with meaningfully greater diversity, and mushrooms represent a biological kingdom that vegetables and grains do not. Cooking is fine. Both beta-glucan and chitin hold up to heat. The issue is rotating varieties. Shiitake, cremini, oyster, and maitake each carry different beta-glucan concentrations. Eating only one type every week narrows that contribution unnecessarily. Rotate varieties. Add them to eggs, grain bowls, soups. Raw or cooked, both count. Mushrooms add 2 fiber types no other food on this list includes. The next food takes a different approach. It doesn't nourish your bacteria directly. It works through one specific species that determines how well your gut holds together. Number 7. Oats. Feeds the wall, not bacteria. Oats have a well-earned reputation for gut health, but most explanations of why they work are incomplete. Oat beta-glucan doesn't primarily feed your beneficial bacteria directly. It feeds something else's species that then maintains the wall your entire gut depends on. Oat beta-glucan is a long-chain glucose polymer distinct from inulin, which runs on fructose. It nourishes a partly different bacterial population. The key species here is Akkermansia muciniphila, one that lives specifically in the mucus lining of the intestinal wall, not in gut contents. Akkermansia feeds on mucins, the proteins that form the mucosal lining. That interaction signals the host to generate more mucin. It stays thick. When Akkermansia populations fall low, it thins. Increased intestinal permeability follows. The gut grows more porous, and bacterial fragments begin crossing into the bloodstream. The research target is 3 grams of beta-glucan daily for detectable effects on microbiota composition. A standard 40-gram serving of dry rolled oats delivers roughly 2 to 2.5 grams. Steel-cut oats run slightly more. Instant oats run meaningfully less. Soak rolled oats overnight. The cooling triggers partial retrogradation, a secondary prebiotic contribution on top of the beta-glucan. To reach 3 grams from oats alone, use a 60 to 70-gram serving, or pair a smaller portion with barley. Oats support the bacteria that keep your gut wall healthy. The next food feeds the bacteria that live deeper inside, and it contains more of the relevant compound than almost anything else at a grocery store. Number 6. Sunchoke. Highest inulin. Real warning. Jerusalem artichoke has nothing to do with Jerusalem and isn't related to artichoke. What it is the single highest natural source of inulin among commonly eaten foods. It also has a reputation serious enough that people have given it a different name entirely. Raw sunchoke runs between 14 and 19 grams of inulin per 100 grams. The same substance most commercial prebiotic supplements try to replicate. Inulin is a long-chain fructose polymer that passes through the stomach and small intestine without breaking down. Then arrives at the large intestine, where beneficial gut bacteria consume it. Studies link regular intake to documented increases in bacterial abundance within 14 days. The bacterial activity that follows is vigorous. For anyone not yet adapted, gas production is real. This is where the name comes from, the fartichoke. That name is earned. Start with 1 tablespoon of raw, shaved sunchoke on a salad. Build over 1 to 2 weeks. Your gut bacteria need time to scale their processing capacity to match the load. Roasting at 200 degrees Celsius for 25 minutes converts a portion of the inulin to simpler sugars, softening the bacterial response while retaining a substantial prebiotic portion. A good entry point. Available at Whole Foods, most farmers markets, and specialty grocers. Sunchoke works through sheer volume. The next food works at the surface, and most people are removing that surface before they even sit down to eat. Number 5. Apples. Peeling removes the point. An apple is one of the most accessible foods in any American kitchen. Whether it does anything useful for your gut bacteria depends on one decision made before you take the first bite. Apples work through 2 different prebiotic avenues. Pectin, a soluble fiber in both flesh and skin, ferments in the colon, producing short-chain fatty acids that beneficial bacteria consume. The skin also concentrates polyphenols, catechins, and quercetin, which act as targeted antimicrobials, holding pathogenic species in check. The skin carries 2 to 4 times the polyphenol amount of the flesh. Peeling an apple removes the majority of those active substances. The flesh alone holds pectin, but the polyphenol activity largely disappears. Studies on regular apple consumption with skin document changes in gut microbiota within 2 weeks, increases in fiber-fermenting species that appear independent of total fiber intake. The polyphenols are doing something the pectin alone cannot. For children or people sensitive to skins, briefly steam the apple. It softens without fully degrading the polyphenols. 1 raw apple with skin, any variety, daily. The apple's microbiome benefit is in its skin. The next plant's benefit is in the leaves and roots of something most Americans walk past or actively remove every spring. Number 4. Dandelion. Weed that works 2 ways. If you've spent time pulling weeds out of your lawn this spring, there's a reasonable chance you removed one of the most bitter, most gut-active greens you could have eaten instead. Dandelion greens carry inulin and FOS in both leaf and root, the same fiber types as garlic and chicory, targeting the same beneficial gut bacteria. But dandelion adds a second action that no fiber provides. Its bitterness activates TAS2R receptors, bitter taste receptors distributed through the digestive tract, triggering increased bile production and faster gastric motility. The gut moves faster, a completely different action from fiber. Raw dandelion greens are sharp. Pair with lemon juice and olive oil, or sauté briefly with garlic, dandelion FOS, and garlic FOS. work on the same beneficial bacterial communities. A good pairing. The prebiotic fiber runs higher in the root than in the leaf. Dandelion root tea and tinctures are available at most U.S. health food stores. A note: Inulin content and TAS2R stimulation are well established. Controlled human trials specifically on dandelion are still limited, available at Whole Foods and farmers markets, or forageable from untreated lawns. Dandelion greens are a weed most people remove from their yard. The next food most people remove the wrong way by waiting too long to eat it. Number 3. Green banana. Yellow means too late. Most people wait for a banana to turn yellow before they eat it. That color change isn't just ripening. It's the gut-feeding starch leaving in real time. A ripe yellow banana is a fast-digesting sugar source. A fully green one contains 15 to 18 grams of resistant starch type 2 per 100 grams starch that digestive enzymes cannot break down. It passes unbroken to your gut and feeds bacteria there the same way inulin does. A banana just beginning to turn yellow runs closer to 4 grams. As the banana fully yellows, that starch transforms into simple sugars. At peak ripeness, some analyses record under 1 gram per 100 grams. The color change is not cosmetic. It is tracking the starch leaving. Eat yellow for energy. Eat green to feed your gut bacteria. One variable, completely different outcome. Raw green bananas can be sliced thin into salads. Boiled green banana is a staple across Caribbean and Latin American communities in the U.S., a culinary practice that happens to align with optimal gut feeding. Green banana flour, dried and milled from unripe bananas, is found at specialty stores and online. Stir into oatmeal or add to baked goods. Preliminary data on 15 grams daily shows documented increases in butyrate-producing bacteria within 4 weeks. And number 2, we're going to talk about a food that most Americans eat at least once a week. The version you're probably eating does almost nothing for your gut bacteria. The version you could be eating does 6 to 8 times more. Same food, one variable. Number 2, cold potato. 6 times more overnight. You've probably boiled a potato, eaten it warm, and moved on. That potato, cooled overnight in your refrigerator, becomes a fundamentally different food for your gut bacteria. Not slightly different, measurably, significantly different. A freshly boiled hot potato contains roughly 1 to 2 grams of resistant starch per 100 grams. Your stomach's amylase dismantles the starch before it can reach your gut bacteria. Almost nothing arrives. Cool that same potato overnight. Starch molecules, as they cool slowly, reorganize into a rigid molecular structure that amylase cannot dismantle. This is retrogradation. The result is resistant starch type 3, and it travels through to your gut unbroken. Research shows retrograded potato starch preferentially supports Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, one of the most extensively studied beneficial bacterial species for gut barrier function. The science here is not preliminary. Cold potato is the best researched resistant starch food in the scientific literature. The reheating rule. Below 60 degrees Celsius preserves most of what cooling built. A second full boil, a long steam, or a high-heat fry collapses the resistant starch content back to near baseline. Temperature management after cooking is the entire variable. Roast or cook a batch. Cool overnight. Eat it cold or warm it gently. Cold potato salad is one of the most effective ways to eat this food. Cold potato is the most documented resistant starch food you can add to your diet. Number 1 is the reason most Americans have been eating cold potatoes without knowing it for decades already. Number 1, potato salad. You were already right. There's a dish that shows up at almost every summer cookout, backyard barbecue, and 4th of July table across the United States. It turns out that the traditional way of making it, the way your grandmother made it, is one of the most effective prebiotic preparations you can produce from a single ingredient. Nobody told you this. You were already doing it. Cold potato salad, served at room temperature or straight from the refrigerator, is resistant starch type 3 fully preserved. Potatoes boiled, cooled, and mixed cold with a dressing. That sequence happens to be the correct preparation for maximum resistant starch content. Not by design, by accident of habit. Generations of American cooks got this right without knowing why. This is not a correction. This is a confirmation. You do not need to change anything. You need to understand what was already working. The only adjustment? Stop treating it as a summer dish. Make it once a week, year-round. Cook or roast potatoes on Sunday. Cool overnight. Eat cold or at room temperature Monday through Wednesday. A simple dressing, olive oil and lemon, or a standard mayo base does not affect the resistant starch content. Earlier, we established that most people have the right foods but eat them in the form that makes them nearly worthless to their gut bacteria. Potato salad is the single exception on this list. The preparation has been right the whole time. These foods are not a treatment to start and stop. They are a maintenance practice. Small, steady inputs that build over weeks and months into something your gut bacteria can actually use. Before you go, I want to know one thing. Potato salad has been on American tables for generations, and it turns out the cold preparation was the right call for reasons nobody knew. Tell me in the comments, does knowing why it works change how often you'll make it? Not just in summer, year-round. I read every comment.